And so we'll hi Emily. Um, we'll get started. I guess the first thing to talk about is SBC coming up. D- Pat, do you want to talk about that or?
Well, we're real excited about two things. We're it's a joint venture with us and the poets. I'll call them Poet Society for lack of a better word. So we're going to be working. We're working together, and we're going to be doing this reception together. And they're going to read poems. Now it could be, however, they're poets. Poets are different than other people.
Mm.
So it might be towards a picture. It might be of the environment. It might be a group of pictures that their poem. It might be something that they already have. It'll be a surprise for us all, but it's going to be really exciting. And what we're doing this trip, this time, as opposed to other times, is we're going to make a real push to get people out there, to get them to see our work, even if you're not exhibiting, just to know who we are and to get people out there. Because usually it's us who are exhibiting, perhaps a friend or a spouse, and that's it. There's, a couple people here and there that come. But now we want to make it so that we have more substance and recognition in the community. So one of the things we're going to do is I or whoever is going to write an invitation to come to the exhibit. And we're going to send it, we're going to have an email list and we might put it on Facebook. The idea is to distribute that invitation as wide as possible to as many people and then ask people to bring a friend. Say, come visit us, feel free to bring a friend. We figure that we could get it to 40 or 50 people, 40 or 50 emails and Facebook and whatever. So even if half of them show up, that's 25 extra people that are seeing our work that potentially can buy our work.
Mm.
And that seems like it's a really good thing. And once it's up and running, every time we have a show, we can just go to that list, a spreadsheet, take all the email address and do a blast email so that everybody knows that we are having another show and we ask everybody to bring somebody so that it's more robust for all of us. And then this month, it's going to be an exception. We're in the Nashville scene. So we get people from the Nashville scene coming. So we have a good, hearty crowd to talk with and see the poets with and make it really an evening. Any questions? Are we excited?
Yes, good.
That's
We
right.
Yeah.
need to know we're excited and that we're not wasting our time.
Yeah, I
When
just
is
want
the
to say
reception?
Pat and Emily, and so this has kind of been a committee. I mean, some kind of the show by committee. So Pat's doing part of it, I'm doing part of it, and
Right,
and Emily has been kind of back behind us with a shovel, throwing all the stuff we've forgotten to do right back at us.
right, right.
So yeah,
Yes.
and Kimberly helped us and get some forms redone and stuff like that. So we're just trying to get more exposure and get more people to the shows and things. So we really appreciate you guys sending in such great images because I think Mark Scala from the Frisk was really impressed. And he we asked him to do, I think it was 30 to 35, and he got it down to 39. So that means he could not narrow it down any further than that. And he even reached out to us after he had done the jurying to say that he would be glad to help lay out the show. So we have since just last week sent him the design of the gallery and the images. Well, he already had the images that were going to be in it, but we sent him all the sizes. So he is literally laying out the show for us. So when we go down next Saturday to hang it, it's going to be. I'll be spoiled now because it'll be my first show to hang, and I'm already going to have directions of what to put where. So I was really excited that he wanted to be involved in that because at first, I think Pat had to educate him basically on what Snap was, and then as we went along, he really kind of got into it, and I'm really looking forward to his juror talk later in the month too.
And by having his blessing, we have the Frisk blessing, right? So we're like an extension of the Frisk during this show. That's pretty impressive, something to put on your resume.
Yeah.
Mhm. Can hear you.
Maybe he could put us in the Frisk newsletter or something.
Well, let's not go that far. That, mm, but we will be, I believe, listed as one of the venues in the Tennessee Triennial art festival kind of a thing that's going
Mhm.
on statewide. There's some,
Okay.
so they'll be listing um, along with shows like the fabulous shows that are at the Frisk right now with the Tennessee women, Nashville women artists in her place. If you all haven't seen that, make time to go see that. And then pop upstairs and see the Impressionists. Um, so we'll be in good company. All of this is unfolding in the most marvelous way. I just think this, we need some good news this year. And our creativity uh, in not only the photography, but in organizing the show is just very inspiring to me. I'm glad I said I was stepping down. It's like, yay, let's let these other, creative people take
Mhm.
us to the next level. It's just great.
And to be successful, we need all of us, not just the four of us.
Well, yes, and we always do come through. Like, how many of you on this Zoom are planning on coming next Saturday to help hang the show? That's a good number. Yeah, it doesn't take, and that's actually fun. Um,
Mhm.
I will. I know we wouldn't have time for our actual program, but I see Susan here, and when we were hanging the last show, before it was even up. I mean, we hadn't even gotten everything up. And there was somebody at the Scarritt Bennett Center, some young teenagers who ran down to get their dad because they thought he would enjoy seeing all the photos. And sure enough, he came up there. He fell in love with Susan's photo. He bought it. He dug in his pocket for money. That's not how you do it. But he was like, he couldn't take it home for 2 months. And Scarritt Bennett was gracious enough to figure out how to mail it to him and get it to where it was. So we had a sale before the show even opened last time. It's a great venue. It's a great venue.
Yeah.
I'm putting
And the
myself
la
back on mute because my dog, this is the time of night when everybody's.
And I guess just we'll finish up the last part of the show report, I guess. So
Yeah.
we'll start hanging at 9:30 at Scarritt Bennett Center next Saturday. And I actually have to leave to go to a memorial service about 12 if I can at all possible. So that's why we're starting a little bit early.
By
Yeah.
next Saturday, you mean April 4th, right?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
not this coming, but the next.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And the fact that the show's already laid out, um, we should be done, I would think, by that time. Yeah.
Knock on wood.
Yeah. Have we heard anything more about the poets that are going to be participating? Do we know?
No, and we have a backup plan that if something, I think that Linda Furtado is the Scarritt Bennett contact, and
Mhm.
her job is not just to do the gallery, but to do just huge,
Mhm.
wonderful uh, things at Scarritt Bennett. And if for some reason this isn't the plan A, that she and Siona, the poets were going to invite people to come and look and write a poetic response. If for some reason that doesn't really pan out, we we have other poetic sorts of
Okay.
things we can do that night. So
Okay.
stay tuned. It'll all be fun.
Well, does anybody else have any other announcements or anything they want to talk about?
I wanted to say that I haven't been able to get to see Deshawn's work that's up at the Curb Center and that resilience and something show. And I intend to go before it closes April 4th.
Oh,
So, or 14th, I can't read my handwriting. Um, so I think it's always good for us to see this. One of the things I love about this show that he's in is it's not just photography, it's a lot of different kinds of art. And seeing the photography in that context, I
mhm.
always learn a lot. And so I'm just look up the Carb Center of
Yeah.
events, the Carb Center in Edge Hill for the details if you haven't gone and you might be interested in going too.
Is that at Belmont?
No, that's over on Vanderbilt's campus, sort of near what the Peabody,
Okay.
uh, the
Gotcha.
Peabody area.
Okay. All right.
Oh, and Deshawn's here. Maybe you can fill us in on anything we need to know about parking or anything.
So I missed all that. I just logged on.
Okay, I was tooting the horn about your show that's up, and I thought I can't read my handwriting. It's up till April 4th or April 14th.
Um, April 4th sounds right, but let me look at it. Hold on. Somebody just put a link
Okay.
in the
Yeah,
chat.
I just put the link in the chat, one of the
Oh, that's
links.
smart. That's smart.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's part of the Vanderbilt campus, but it's not in the center of like it's a Vanderbilt space, but it's not in the center of the campus. So there is a little bit of parking around it. It's Edge Hill and 17th,
Yes.
Right
So
near
it's on the.
Scarritt Bennett.
very near
Yeah.
Scarritt Bennett.
Uh-huh.
And Deshaun's image in it is great, and there's a bunch of other really, really interesting art there.
Well, thank you. But yes, it's on the corner of Edge Hill and 17th, and it looks like a house with a red door. So you probably passed it before and just kind of didn't pay it any attention. Like parking is pretty horrible over there. Most of the parking is Vanderbilt parking, so you probably want to park on the street somewhere and walk, or see if you can park at Scarritt Bennett, which they do tell people sometimes it's Scarritt Bennett, so it's iffy.
Yeah.
Or bicycle, right? We
There you go.
take the city bus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll get started with our 20th anniversary review. I want to ask Robin, um, did did you send some images in for tonight? Did,
Yes, I thought I did.
you did?
I can pull them up and share the screen if you don't have them,
That'd be
or
good because yeah,
okay.
for some reason I just saw you there and so I don't remember seeing Robin's. So yeah,
Okay.
you you can we can save you to the end if you want and or
Okay.
whenever you're ready. That'd be great.
That's fine.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna share screen here. Can y'all see that?
I
Is it
can
Now
see
we
okay?
it
can.
now. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, Rick, I got Rick's is first, so if you want to just tell us about these images, I'll when you're done talking about one image, just tell me and I'll click on the next one.
All right, I don't like being first because I'm not sure what the expectation is, but I decided for this exhibit to choose photos that were not part of any particular project, but showcased the different types of images I like to produce. So these images span actually the last 15 years that I've been seriously taking photos. First one up is called The Path. It was, I was with the group and they had a 9-month project to shoot the Harpeth River over 3 seasons. And then we ended up having an exhibit. And this was one of the exhibit or one of the photos that was chosen for the exhibit. It's one of my favorite photos. It's about 3 miles from my house. I had to go out there many times to get the lighting. I was just really starting in my venture as a photographer, and unfortunately, you can no longer get this photo because the floods have caused the path to be disrupted. Um, Again, it's just one of my favorite photos, reading the light and being outdoors. So let's go to the next one. Unless somebody's got any questions. I'm also a gardener. I love being outdoors, so I've got to have a little dirt under my fingernails at all times. So I have lots of flowers in the yard. And so I decided one day I'm going to buy a macro lens and take pictures of my flowers. So I get the camera all set up on the tripod. Every time I try to take a picture, a little gust of wind would come up and would be blurry. And no matter where I moved, I couldn't stop that wind from affecting my photo. So I decided, I know how to stop motion. It's called a flash. So I went into the house, got my flash out, and I started taking pictures with the flash off camera, moving around the flowers, and I found that it was much more interesting than just taking the natural light, taking a flower in the natural light. So this was one of my earliest project was photographing all the flowers in my yard using the off-camera flash. Any questions? If not, we can go to the next one. This is called my sister's house. She hates the name. She does not live in this house, but it is the abandoned house that's on her property. And when I was visiting her one time, I decided to explore the area, and I came across this old abandoned house. Um, I'm not even sure my sister knew it was there. But again, I enjoy going out and seeing old abandoned places, trying to find an image there. Uh, I took a while thinking about, well, how do I want to frame this image up? And I'm not sure why it came up with this particular angle that I shot, but it uh, it seems to work for me. And I actually had this photo in a critique. There was two individuals critiquing it, and one of the critiquers said, "Well, did you notice that the cup in the lower right-hand corner is blurred?" I'm going, "Oh my gosh, I did not see that." You won't see it in this picture because I'd actually taken two other photos at the same time, and only the one that I originally processed had the cup that had motion. The floors were very old, and I must have shifted my weight just enough for that cup to move while I was taking the shot. But I was lucky to have a couple other images that I could shoot and use.
I love the clothes kind of hanging out of the drawer.
Yes.
That's amazing. Was this what is the color on this? Did you was it originally in color or
Yes, I processed it and made it black and white with that sepia tone to it to make it look old.
right? Extraordinary, beautiful.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Okay.
Uh, this was also taken at my sister's place. They actually have a tree farm, and I got up early one morning, and the light was hitting the trunks of the trees. I just loved the way the light was hitting it. I tried a couple of experiments with camera motion to get the a little different look to it. And this one was with a little camera motion. I did add a little blur to it to give it a kind of a mystic look to it. Um,
Gorgeous.
Go ahead.
It's gorgeous.
Thank you. And again, it's one of my favorite photos, and I love getting up early in the morning, catching that early morning light if I can. Next. Uh, this photo, I was with a group of photographers. We were shooting on Printers Alley, and it started to rain. So we all jumped into this parking garage that didn't have any cars in it. And we're all complaining about the rain. And I'm the only photographer that turned around and saw the lighting in the garage and took a few images there. Um, I guess that's just we always tell you look behind you when you're shooting to see what you might have missed. And this is again another one of my favorite images just because of the lighting. And all my friends are kicking themselves for not taking the chance to catch it in that rainy day. Next. Uh, this photo was part of a project I had with a group of friends. We were photographing the small towns of Williamson County. This church is in Paytonsville or near Paytonsville. Everybody that sees this says, well, how many times did you have to go down there to get that perfect light? And my answer is, I was lucky. I hit the perfect light the first time I went down there. The sky was just perfect, and this was special because it was one of the last outings I had with a friend of mine. He had passed away shortly afterwards, and so it has a special meaning for me. It's a Greek church. I don't remember the name of the church, but it's near Paytonsville. Next. I enjoy doing travel photography, but I do not travel for photography, if that makes sense. I'm traveling with friends, and so my photography has to be on the side so I'm not disrupting what we're doing as a group. And so again, I'm up early in the morning before the rest of the group is ready to get out. So I captured this shot in Florence. Again, it's just a typical travel shot, catching the light in the early morning. And again, the sky was cooperating for me. We had the perfect sky for the type of image I wanted to capture. Next.
I think that's it.
Is that so? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Okay. I'm looking at his tabs at the top. This is
Right.
Emily, and I'm going to jump in and say, Rick, do you know what you just did in your 6 or 7 photos? You just gave a little crash course in successful photography. I mean, each one, there was a little lesson. It was like, well, I was faced with it, like the stream is no longer there. Why do we shoot? To capture those minutes. The flower going in the breeze. You thought, well, you can stop motion with flash. The using the camera motion for the trees and being lucky with the church lighting. And the most important one, I've heard several of you say you do this, and it's really, I hear your voices when I'm out and I'm not seeing anything and I'm not inspired or whatever. It's like, turn around, look behind you, look up, look down. So good job, Rick. You've given us all these great reminders and your photos. I love the way that your approach was just photos that meant a lot to you. It was a good set.
Thank you.
And then next up is Aura.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Um, this shot, so I debated about what to put in the pushpin because I'd been in a bunch of the original pushpin shows and toyed with the idea of seeing if I still had any of those old original prints around. And I didn't, well, instead I went a different route. And I actually chose to show this image, which I think was in a Photo Girls group show, but never in a Snap show before, because it was in the same file, flat filed away with the collage that I really, really wanted to show, but I figured I had enough room, for two pieces, one over the other. And this was the print that looked best with the collage that you will see in just a moment. And that is the collage. So for a while, and those of you who know me know I kind of mess around with alternative printing, and for a while I was really into David Hockney-esque photo collages. So I would go out with my lovely old FE2 Nikon, which is still probably my favorite camera that I've ever had, and take a whole bunch of randomly framed shots of one big thing with the idea of collaging it together. So shooting at different angles, kind of trying to get the light not really to match all that well, zooming in, zooming out. So some elements stick together and then some are a little more cubist in their orientation there. So I really wanted to include one of the collages, or I've also woven photographs together. And in the upcoming Scarritt Bennett show, you will see that I have been embroidering on photographs. I'm not nearly as good. We had briefly a member who really was a basket maker, and really knew how to weave photographs together in sort of really ornate and extremely beautiful fashion.
He's he's showing that work over in Asheville,
Oh,
some gallery
cool.
over there. He moved over there. That's why we don't
Okay,
see him anymore.
that's where he
Yeah,
went.
yeah. That's a beautiful place to go for, yeah. He I remember when he embroidered like a pocketbook out of his
Like
photos.
woven, so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. But you're right up there, Laura. I love
Oh,
that. I love the embroidery thing we're doing in this collage. What a beautiful idea.
thank you.
Joe next.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
I kind of did groupings of photos, and this is from a series called Musica Nocturna. And um, I've been a musician, I guess, since I was about 10. I play the flute. And I always thought the Italian terms that went with music, I always thought they were magic words when I was a kid. And it turns out they're pretty normal words in Italian, but I always thought that was pretty cool. So this series, um, I named the pieces, the different images after different musical terms that I felt fit. um, that the first one there is chiave di violino, and it basically means treble clef. and um, and then I just kind of tried to come up with um, different representations of those images. And these are all moonflower vines at Warner Park Organic Garden. They had a bunch of moonflower vines one year, and I just loved them. And they only bloom when it's low light. And so I thought that was really cool because we were in the middle of the pandemic, so that beautiful things could come from dark times, was the way I kind of interpreted that. Um, the other ones are named teneramente, which means tenderly, and the other one, the bottom one right, is actually going to be in the light show, and it's called cantabile, which means kind of in a singing style. And so you can go to the next. This group of images is from a series called Notes from the Universe. I go out and when I was doing all this, I would go out and I would just find things. And it was just this very strong feeling that I was meant to be there with my camera taking this exact thing. It just felt very compelling to me. And the top one is called Notes to the Universe, and that was taken in Warner Park. Actually, all three of these were. And they were just, again, a group of images that I felt were very important to me. So you can go ahead and go to the next one. And in selecting images for the Snap 20, I decided I do a lot of black and white, but I wanted to do some color, and this fit the overall arrangement of the space layout that we'd been given. Um, the bottom left, or the left-handed one, is called Blackberry Blossoms, and it was another one taken during the pandemic. Uh, and I took a series of images that started with this blossom and followed it through the fruit until the bare branches. And so I just felt like that was really interesting to follow the cycle of nature during a time when it felt things like we're all out of balance. Um, the right image is one that I also have in black and white, but again, I thought it would work in color as well, so I used that one for this exhibit. I was taking pictures of birds going in and out of the tree branches, and this is technically a composite. There was, they were in different places, but I just loved the way the light, I don't even know if you can see it in this, in Zoom, but the way the light shines through the feathers on the wings of the birds, I just thought was really beautiful, and just felt like it was um, it was just fun to capture that motion and all the different birds going in and out. That's it.
Okay. I remember seeing the Blossom photo in Clarksville. It was
Mm-hmm.
a Clarksville show. I think it
Yep.
won an award, as I
Yep.
recall. Yeah.
I was pretty happy about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joe, I just wanted to say that with respect to this show and poetry, every single one of those, I could see some really cool poem being written about, because you can just see, you can make up your own stories for what's there, or what you saw or what happened.
Yep. Thank you.
So this is Leslie.
Well, hello, everyone.
Hey.
I had two images that I selected for the Snap show, and they're images of motion blur, which I really enjoy doing, but which is a departure from the kind of more conventional photography that I do. But I try to use motion blur to take sort of unconventional pictures of conventional things. So this was early morning down on the pedestrian bridge of the Nashville skyline. And it's basically an in-camera double exposure using a slow shutter speed and a closed aperture.
Can I ask you a question about it?
Sure.
So is it just up and down, not up and down and sideways both?
Yeah, no, it's like a quick movement down and then repositioning the camera to the
And
same
then,
place and a quick movement sideways. That's
oh,
what
okay, so it
gives
is both.
the cross hatching. Yeah.
Okay, it's really neat.
Yeah. Was it on a tripod?
No,
Yeah.
Okay.
no.
Wow.
And actually I think you can do these images much better in Photoshop than in your camera because the blend modes in Photoshop give you more options. But I haven't done this a lot, so I wanted to see what I was getting and didn't want to wait to get home and open up Photoshop and realize that I didn't like it because this I find, at least where I am with this sort of photography, is that your the rate at which you produce duds is very high. So I probably throw out about 90% when I'm doing this kind of photography and don't have a lot that I keep. So you can go to the next. So this is basically the same idea. It was a fall day in one of the Werner parks, and I saw these two walkers coming up a path, and really
Are you
liked
talking to me?
um, really liked them
No,
against
I
the
got
fall
over what I was.
foliage.
I think I talked. They were all so quiet. Well, that's nice. Isn't it nice? Yeah, or shade. They were all so quiet that I said, "Are we excited?" Yeah.
What? I think we're
Matt,
we're
Matt,
getting
your mic is on.
Did I say anything good?
No, we're not telling.
yeah. So anyway, I mean, this is basically the same kind of photography, which I'm working on a lot, and actually, I like motion blur of all kinds, and am trying to incorporate it more into my more kind of standard photography as well. So that's it.
Emily Naff is Emily with us?
I was
No.
there when she took that photo.
Okay.
It's in an old building in not Rotterdam, I think Kinderdijk, one of the
Oh
small
wow.
towns in the Netherlands, where near where she was doing a
Uh-huh.
study abroad one summer.
Wow. It's beautiful. Yeah, I noticed all of her images that were in the show are of windows. Windows become interesting when they get old and they start, the glass flows over decades and distorts. It's interesting. I like the window latch in this one. I like the little hint of curtain up here at the very top.
I'm sorry, Emily isn't here, but you
Right.
see her love of color and balance
Hmm.
and her precision. You know, she doesn't just do uh, snap, snap and hope. She's clearly um, intentional. And
Hmm.
also, I love the humor in some of these.
Right. Right. Here is our other
I,
Emily.
I should have left my audio on. Um, my series, I was surprised in figuring out what to take to the pushpin show. My printer was being cranky, so I needed to go through and find things that had already been printed because life was also crazy, and I put off. And there wasn't time to like send things off and have it be done well. And I knew I had printed this multiple times because this was the first photo that made me realize photography was something that I was fascinated with and in love with. Uh, there was a show, a gallery talk at Anne Brown's Art on Fifth Avenue Art, whatever she called her gallery, um, on street photography. I did not know street photography existed, but there were people talking about it and showing examples of it, and then everybody was invited to go spend the next hour just roaming around Broadway. Look at the difference. Now that's Broadway in 2012. You would not see that. That's like a Friday night.
Yeah, that's the old convention center before they tore it down.
The old one, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And one of the things and this was picked for a Snap show, and I met Denny Adcock at this talk, and I learned about Snap. I mean, this is a meaningful, meaningful photo. But one of the things that you'll see in my low light, uh, not all entirely low light, but I love the way it, at first glance, you think this is maybe black and white. Um, but then you look again and there's street lights, green, and you look again. So, and that is, we don't do that when we're out walking around. We don't think I'm in a black and white world. Thank goodness there's a traffic light. But there's those kind of fun things that I like looking at with the low light. So the rest of the photos kind of built off of this one. I think you'll see certain angles of light and pools of light. Was surprised when I was going back looking at this to be prepared for tonight. Half of these were taken in January of various different years. This one was January 2012, and it was the camera, the old Canon Rebel uh, that I started with until I realized that it was great, but it had its limitations, and they weren't fun limitations. So the next one is also in January 2018 down in Plains, Georgia. And that was with my then pretty brand new Fujifilm, um, the XE2S, which I was shot with forevermore until recently when I was upgraded to a T5. But so here, this is in January too, and this is about 5:30 in the morning. Several of us had gone down to hear Jimmy Carter do his Sunday school service that didn't start till 10, but everybody's advised to get there early so you have a chance of getting in the sanctuary. And we pulled up with, And the parking lot was already, we were already in an overflow parking lot. We thought we're not going to make it in to hear him in person, but we did. But we had hours before the show, and so I was wandering around with my camera and came across this. And they don't sell gas anymore. I mean, you don't get 39 cent a gallon gas anymore. But you could tell a lot of guys were about to go out fishing, and they were going there to get their bait. And I just love the reflection and the light and the pooling and the blue hour. So I added this to the 20th. Now this is the most recent shot I included, and you see that you've got that pool of light, and you've got the blue hour, you've got the warm light and the cool blue hour, and it's mostly shadows. This was the 4th of July, a couple summers ago, actually last summer, up in Poughkeepsie, and we'd had, the hamburger cookout in the backyard, and the sun's going down, and long about this time the neighborhood fireworks are going off. So I stepped around front to see what I could see, and this just, we had to pull up the camera and get this. That was with my new camera, was it? Yes, that's my new camera. I'm looking over at my notes because I'm not a gear person that memorizes these things, but this one had, I'll just compare it. The one in Georgia had ISO of 1600, and this one had an ISO of 12,800. I mean, my gosh. And which adds to the fun.
That's the ISO I was using in the astrophotography pictures that I
Oh,
took in the middle of the night. Yeah.
well, I'm still experimenting with all this. I don't know, but occasionally, forces come together. A photo is satisfying.
Yeah.
So this is another January photo. This is 2019 up in Kentucky. Mike and I had gone up to the Sisters of Loretto Mother House for a few days. I was honored to be helping some of the sisters think through how they wanted to improve their retreats. And so it was very intense work, but with such grounded and smart and caring people that it was, instead of at the end of a day of strategic planning and so forth, I felt always energized. And so I'm out walking after supper on their grounds, and I'm feeling very peaceful. And this, to me, I call this tranquility, because that was sort of the sense of that time of day and that particular location and that particular stretch of time. So again, the low light, I love reflections, I love silhouettes, I love clouds. It's all right there. And the next one I can't wait for y'all to see, because you saw Leslie's version. We're out prowling around downtown with our cameras. I'm taking a class at Nashville State, and we're supposed to be getting urban cityscapes. And this one is shot, there's actually no processing involved uh, uh, before, during, or after it. This is just shot through, those mesh construction fence kinds of things that they put up around construction sites. So there's the cameras. I've got my camera right up on the mesh, and that light is doing its magic things, and it looks like I know how to do Photoshop or something, and I do not. But I love this one. Love this one too. And I love that we were on the same wall in the 20th in the Pushpin show. People could see hers was gorgeous and big, and it went so beautifully with this other crosshatch thing. And I felt like mine was just a compliment of that. I mean, my photos that I pulled together were very different, but this particular shot worked for both of our series, I thought. That was not in January, that was in October. And this last one is Cocoa Beach, Florida, winter, not quite January. And I kind of wanted to include a low light that actually had like that golden hour. It wasn't just the blue hour, it wasn't just dark. I wanted to include one of those. And honestly, Florida colors. I mean, you kind of know you're in Florida, even if it wasn't the classic, roadside hotel next to a classic early high rise kind of a thing. It just feels soft and you just relaxing. You can tell there's the ocean nearby. So I guess in short, I will say that my series was built around the idea of low light, and we can, like Joe was talking about, finding light, uh, finding hope in dark times. Maybe that's another reason for pulling together these low light things where you can. It's not all just discouraging you light. There's also a bit of hope.
Thank you.
I love that show. I hope we do another Pushpin sometime.
Yeah. And here's Ron. I don't know if we have, is Ron here with us tonight?
I don't see him on the
No.
participant list.
Yeah, I don't see him. We'll run
We
his.
can still enjoy him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It is different from his first one. Yeah. Reminded me of his first one. These are Susan's.
I have to
So
jump in and say, "Why, golly, Susan, that went beautifully after Ron's." Didn't it?
thanks. This is the Palouse. And somebody at the well, first let me say that when I was trying to decide which ones to do, I asked my husband Richard, which one should I put in? And he said, "Well, why don't you put in the ones that have you sold?" So I thought, well, that's an interesting criteria, but also a couple of that are real favorites of mine. This one at the show, somebody said to me, "So how do you see that as an abstract?" And I said, "Well, it's what I call a realistic abstract. It's it's more about the feelings that it produces to me in terms of when taking it than it is about the actual scene." So, I was on a trip to the Palouse and we were up on this hill and it was just gorgeous all around there. Next one. Um, this one is called Gratitude. During COVID, I did a lot of shooting on the dining room table, and then I discovered the warp tool in Photoshop, and this one was actually in a show at it also sold at a show that was just mine in at Scarritt Bennett. The show was called "To Bend Without Breaking: How to Survive Difficult Times," and it was like in 22, I think. This is one of my absolute favorite ever photographs. So, and as I say, it did sell at the show. I used the warp tool on it and just had a lot of fun. Next. This one I took when I was in at a workshop in Canada one time, and I could not get this bright enough. I diddled around with it for, I guess, 4 or 5 years. It took me that long to learn how to brighten the colors up. I liked the format, I liked everything about it, but the colors were really dull. And so when I finally figured out how to make the colors look like I wanted them to look, it became another one of my favorites. It's called, I called it Happy Jewels. It's intentional camera movement. I don't remember what the subject was.
Susan, do you remember what your breakthrough technique was to get those that so bright and jewel-like?
I don't, but I'm guessing it's probably learning to use either hue, one of the either hue hue sat or what's the other one? There's another one in Photoshop that you can brighten colors with. What's the other one? You all know. Well, maybe some of you would know. It's another one of the functions above layers.
It's vibrance,
No,
vibrance and saturation.
it's saturation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hue set, but there's another. No, there's another one besides that in Photoshop. Anyway, it's there.
Illuminance.
Yes, thank you. Luminance. Next. This is one I started working with intentional camera movement back in 2012, and this was I was at a workshop in Canada and was just playing around with it and with the intentional camera movement because it was so much fun back then. And this one was also in a show, and I sold this one I think 3 times. Uh, it was the show was called How God Comes to Us. And this one is called Companionship. So we're saying one of the ways we get in touch with the divine is through friends or special people in our lives. And interestingly enough, one of the people who was a model for this happens to be on our Zoom call tonight. The red jacket belongs to Sharon Brown Christopher.
Hey.
So I think those are my four. I really enjoyed kind of picking those out and putting them, putting them up. So I encourage us to do another push pin show also.
This is Bill Scott.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Uh, what I picked out were, I thought I'd just show, this is not one of them. Uh, Photos were of places I've been, and also like this one, show you something, of the creations I make with photo composites. And usually, this kind of an image starts out with a facade of a building. This old service station was taken somewhere up north of Middle Tennessee. I don't remember when. And the truck somewhere in Middle Tennessee. The liquor sign is out on Dickerson Pike. It's a famous sign. The foreground and is probably maybe from Texas or Death Valley. And the background, I don't know where it's from. I just start adding things and usually, and the dog there in the front, that's a, stock photo that I want, a free stock photo. But I create the image that I start with. In this case, the lighting coming from the left-hand side, then everything I add has to be a photo that has lighting coming from the same direction. Or sometimes you can fake it. But I'm not sure. There's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 different images there brought together for that particular photo. You can go on to the next one. And this is a shot from somewhere I visited. That's Manteo, North Carolina, across the bay from the ocean. Well, the inlet, the water inlet. The day I took this, it was very overcast, uh, dark, and the original image is just very, very flat and gray. I did replace the sky, the sky that just was not doing anything, and brought out the colors. Uh, that would There's colors always, within the photos that you can bring out. I did add the crab traps. They were taken up in up the Northeast somewhere on a trip, and so it's a partial composite and a sky replacement. You can go to the next one now. This was taken out in La Jolla, California. I was on my son is a band director, teacher at Tullahoma High School, and my wife and I have been traveling with the band when they go on their spring break. This was our second trip, and we went to California and then drove down to San Diego. And La Jolla is a place where people go, maybe for the little town, but for the sea lions that rest there on the coast. Sea lions never have interest to me. They're just animals, and I'm not an animal photographer. So this is a little park area across from the town, the main street, and this is where you see these cypress trees. It's not cypress. I'm not sure what kind of tree they are. But they had a lot of these dead trucks just in various places there. And I did change the sky because it was a nice day, but it was an uninteresting sky. So while all of the band students were watching the seals, I was walking around with my camera. You can go to the next one. This is in Clarksdale, Mississippi. Um, it is a partial. It's a composite. Yeah, the background has been changed and the moon has been added. It's just a very. Let me turn my light back on. Uh, Clarksdale is known world known for its blues music, and people come from all over the world for this little town. And this is the main area. The place that's called they have a name for it, that the best blues music in the world place is behind it and to the right. This is across the street from it. You can go to the next one. This everything you see is added on this particular composite. Uh, it started with the railroad station. The railroad station itself, though, did not have the porch extending out to the left. It was just chopped off the original building, and I just rebuilt it, I guess, by using what was on the right hand side. In the background, the town scene is from a little place in Texas called St. Joe, and it had its street had basically an old Western row of building, an old row of buildings that had a Western theme to them. So that I shrunk that down and put it in the background. Over to the left, a windmill is somewhere I took in Texas, and the building over on that side is somewhere in Tennessee, and the railroad track is somewhere in Tennessee. And the sky was added, and the moon was added, and I believe there's a little wagon back there somewhere that was added. And also the sign up over the porch was created. It's called Salt Flats Junction. That was just created in Photoshop. And the shadows were added to reflect to take the same light coming from the moon. And you can go to the next one. I have some friends that live in Mayfield, Colorado, near Durango, and we visit them quite often. And my lady friend there has always asked me to get a photo of the aspen trees with all the yellow. But I got out too late. The leaves had all mostly fallen, so I never could get anything that I was satisfied with. But this one image that I took, I just decided, well, if I don't have enough color there that for her, I'll just turn it to the black and white. And to me, I like it better than a colored image. And you can go to the next one. This was taken in Death Valley. I got out real early one morning. I think I got up about 4 o'clock and drove. I was about an hour away from Death Valley, where I had to stay, and drove in. The sun was coming up, but it was just not a very interesting sky. So I did replace the sky, and all the colors there in front of you were just brought out and emphasized, and using various techniques like Susan was talking about to get those colors in. And that was during COVID. This is March of 21. And I'd go back to Death Valley in a minute. It's just a strange, beautiful place. And I think maybe I've got one more.
Yeah, I don't see any more. I think that might be
Okay. Oh,
Last
maybe that
one.
was it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. And then I believe I'm the next one here. This is a photograph that I took in Terlingua, Texas, when I was on an astrophotography workshop down there. This was taken around 2 o'clock in the morning. Obviously, that's the Milky Way, and we were in an old uh, Catholic graveyard, um, and so this was taken on a tripod. Like I said, the ASA was probably like around 12,000 or 6,900 or something like that, and the exposure time was about 20 seconds. The foreground was light painted, and I just used the uh, flashlight on my iPhone and just ran the flashlight over the foreground during the 20 seconds that the shutter was opened, and so that's how I captured that. This was out at the first edition of the Nashville Fair, which is several years ago. Well, maybe I don't know if it was 2 or 3 years ago, but um, I was using my uh, long lens. I have at 200 to 500 Nikkor lens, and I was using that. The the original image was uh, cut off on the left side. I had cut off this gentleman's foot. I only captured about half of his foot. So this was before AI when I was processing uh, uh, this image. So I basically painted in, I extended the image and painted in that left half of his foot. So, but I really like the expressions on their faces. And this was taken back last February at um, uh, 5501 protest on, it was up on Capitol Hill. That's the Capitol building behind them there. And I was using my long lens. I had originally produced this in color, but I think it looks better in black and white. Um, this was a lot of y'all have probably seen this picture. This is taken on that raft trip that I was on in 1981. This is in the Mississippi Delta, somewhere right off the Mississippi River, probably in Mississippi, some on in the southern part of the state, I believe. This was on a Sunday morning, um, and we were walking through town there and saw this gentleman. That's probably his Sunday go to meeting clothes. I'm guessing. So, but this was shot. I had a Nikon FE. That's the camera I took on this trip, and it was shot on Ektachrome. And so shot on Ektachrome, and then I have a Nikon negative scanner. So I took the slide and scanned it and converted it into a digital file. So that's where we got that. And then this was shot on probably 1983, I'm guessing, on Memorial Day in Franklin, Kentucky. And I have several shots of this lady, and this is probably the shot with the most pleasant look on her face. She wasn't too thrilled that I was there taking pictures. So, and I believe I shot this on Tri-X. And Al Wood is up next.
What I have are some images from a project I started, I guess it's 3 years ago. I just finished it in January. I've got 600 and something gigabytes of images with this project. And most everything was shot. I don't know if you can see it with this. It's a little Sony camera. It doesn't show up good on there. But anyway, it's a 40 megabyte 35 millimeter fixed lens, f2 fixed lens with a flip down back LCD on the back of it, which for what this project concerned, which is primarily like street photography, various variations in street photography. It's you really can't, for me, you really can't do you can't do it very well putting the camera up to your eye. You need to be able to hold it at your waist and not, and the camera needs to be kind of small so that people don't notice you. You know, when I first started 3 years ago, I used a just a standard camera, and people would look at me every time I'd make a picture. And one time, this lady at a farmer's market pointed her finger at me while I was making her picture. So I bought this little Sony's RX1 R2. They've got a new version now that's almost as expensive as a Leica, it's like a little over $5,000. Anyway, 3 years ago, I had I needed a project. I always like to have a project, so I needed one, and I was volunteering out at the Williamson County Fair, and had my camera. And when I got through with my tour, I went out and started walking around, and I decided what I would do was make a photo book or make a collection of pictures of the people that work the booths or the areas in the fair, you know, the carnival people, the carnies, whatever you call it. So I walked around, made a bunch of pictures. I liked some of them really well. Did that for about 3 nights, but I didn't really have enough stuff, um, you know, for a book or anything. And they weren't going to, the fair wasn't going to be there again until next year. So I went to the Wilson County Fair, made some shots, and went to the Nashville Fair and made some shots. And even still, I wasn't going to have that many. So I decided to try to think of a way to build on this, these fair shots. And so what I thought I would do was develop some pictures of what I would call outdoor vendors. And so that includes people that work crafts fairs, farmers markets, and so forth. So 600 gigabytes later, I've got all these images now I've got to go through. Now that the ones I'm showing tonight are all made at Panama City. There was about 3 different farmers markets in that area that I shot at, and I really don't have much of a story about any of them. They're just pictures of people that are working, primarily working the farmers market. Sometimes I'll make pictures of children and stuff, but it's in a situation where you can tell they're at a farmer's market. So you can go to the next one. I don't really have much of a story about any of them. They're just images that I made. But my plan is to, originally I was just going to have one photo book, but now I'm going to have to come up with probably several different photo books with a different emphasis. Some farmers markets, some, crafts fairs and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I emphasized this year, the finish of the year, I went to all these weird festivals like the Moon Pie Festival. Uh, uh, see what there's a weird one. I went to chocolate syrup, not chocolate syrup. I forget the name. Oh, chocolate gravy festival. So anyway, now I've got to go through and compile these into some usable form. And usually what I do with the books is I give one to each of my children and one to my brother and one to my sister. I don't try to sell them or anything, but the reason I like to do a book, it gives me an endpoint or something to work toward. It gives form to what I'm doing. So that's why I like to do the book. Some of the crafts fairs, like this, they have individuals that are really interesting looking, like this guy here. And locally, the Franklin Crafts Fair is pretty good. But the best one is Nashville, the one that's downtown, in terms of characters and stuff. Really like 35 millimeter. I started out with 28 millimeter, but we had to do too much cropping, so 35 kind of works best for me for this type of thing. I also have a 43 millimeter camera. It's a new one, and it's 43 is okay, but sometimes I have to stand back. Whereas with the 35 millimeter, I can get everything in without having to worry about cutting somebody's top of their heads off or whatever.
Well, I'm hungry now.
What's that?
I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Hey, Al,
Yeah.
this is Lee. You mentioned you do these photo books. Some time ago, we did I guess, a program on photo books, and I've forgotten which one you said you use. Are you trying different ones, or have you found one
I
that
have
you're
tried
sticking
different
with?
ones, but Blurb is just so easy to make for me because there's a book module in Lightroom, and you can set it up in Lightroom and then download it to Blurb, and to me, that's just so much easier than the other ways I've tried. So that's what I do. And then
Okay, I didn't know. I
you can
didn't know
make
if you
a
were
PD.
still trying.
What's that?
I say I didn't know if you were still experimenting with new
No,
books. But you've got one you like and you stick with it.
yeah. And you can
Okay.
make a PDF too. You make a PDF and send it to Blurb, or you can send it raw, send it without going through the PDF. Either way.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah, I really like Blurb's zine, which actually does not look like a zine. It just looks like a soft cover book. It's a really good quality paper, and it's relatively inexpensive compared to their quote unquote books.
Yeah. Now I started out making these big size books. I forget what the dimensions are, but
Yeah,
they're big, and,
yeah,
and they run like $300-400 a
right.
piece.
Yeah.
So I've cut back now. They're a little under $200, but I just make four of them.
Mhm. Okay.
We've already seen these.
Going backwards here.
But the nice thing about having a small camera you can shoot from your waist is that for the most part, people don't notice you and they go about whatever they're doing without paying attention to you.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's why I like that. Sony has produced a camera to update it, the one that I use, and it's $5,000, but it does not have a flip down screen, so
Mhm.
I did an upgrade. But it's got a whole lot better sensor, and its capacity to do these things is a whole lot better than this camera. But I have to have the flip down screen.
Somehow I managed to close all the images that I had open. So these are
So Wayne, you didn't come across Robbins, so let's not forget.
right,
Ro-
right. That's yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
yeah. Thank you.
I've got mine queued up, ready to go
All
whenever.
right, all right. Yeah, I believe that these are the last ones for Al's. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I will stop sharing my screen.
Do you want me to take over now?
Sure. Mhm.
Okay, hang on 1 second. Oh, it says sharing is not turned on. Okay, now I've got it, I think.
Got it?
Like so. Okay,
Yeah.
let's see if this view will work. Hang on. Okay, can you guys see just an image of a sunrise?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I went about this. I hadn't done a pushpin show before and sort of wanted to just, I'm a photojournalist and a journalist and a nature person. So I just kind of wanted to tell the story of seasons changing, I guess. And then I ended up just getting into several different photo techniques or times of day to basically tell the story of fall. And so this was a sunrise out at Radnor. It's one of those times every morning this time of year, the geese come up from the slough over to the east side and fly. over your head if you're standing on the west side of the lake. They're flying out to go forage and eat for the day. So I kind of knew that this photo might happen, but I went out to shoot this one several different times through that season. And this one, I heard them coming before I saw them, and they just happened to come up. Obviously, the timing when the I mean, when the sun comes up over that ridge, you've only literally got like a minute before it gets up too high and it really just blows out the whole scene. So it had to be just perfect timing for the geese to lift up during that minute, when they would be right in the sun. And I was lucky enough to catch their reflection down at the bottom as well. And the next one. This one, we ended up running this in the magazine, the Tennessee Magazine, as a cover for a Halloween thing because there's a little ghostly image down there at the bottom, and I did not see that when I was shooting this. But the little ghost formed in the water down there, I thought was just kind of priceless. But this image was in the Tremont area of the Smoky Mountains, so this also has the timing of the light. It was kind of a sunny day, but we also had clouds. So I waited until it was not as contrasty and more of a diffused light when the clouds moved in front of the sun, so that the highlights in the water would not be blown out. And as you guys all know, you have to sort of judge the volume of the water that's coming through the area with, how long your shutter speed would be open to still realize some of the detail. And believe it or not, this original was shot on Velvia slide film. So I think to a large degree, those of us who used to shoot slide film probably, banged our heads against the wall many more times than folks who have digital, who, you can fudge a lot more in digital and fix it, or, at least recover some highlights. But when you shot on Velvia, if you didn't capture it right, you just tossed it in the garbage can. So. And this was another trip where I had just gone to the Townsend area for fall color, and it snowed that night, and so we had to make limit. There were a few other folks there. I didn't know them, but the most hard-headed of the nature photographers who were there started walking toward Little River Road because they had all the roads to the park closed that morning because it was kind of a really wet snow, and the weather conditions made it perfect for just a nice little glaze of black ice to be on all the roads. So we literally walked I usually stay at the Tally Ho when I'm in a hotel when I'm in Townsend, and I walked down to the bridge, and it was just really just such a beautiful morning. And I was there to do fall color, but then the serendipity of the snow was just perfect. So I shot this both vertical and horizontal. And then it's a little bit different take. It's reflections and water. So that is basically fall color being reflected on the top of Radnor Lake. And you have to, again, play with this for how much of it do you want in sharp focus, and how much do you want to allow the water to just slightly blur the colors. So I've got a series of these that I've kind of dubbed nature's watercolors, because it's basically what it is. And I'm also kind of like Deshaun. I do Untitled a lot. So, but Nature's Watercolor series is what I was kind of working on with this one. And then this was the day of the first eclipse that we saw in totality. I think it was 2017 or 18. And I had been out that day. It was so hot. This is Buzzard's Roost at Fall Creek Falls. And I was in my camper debating whether I should go back out to shoot sunset. And it turned out to be the perfect day to have gone to do that. And the clouds, it was kind of a crystal blue sky, but towards sunset, the clouds kind of came in and helped diffuse the light as it hit the ridge down there. And I love this tree. That a friend of mine has done a whole book about a thing called That Tree. He had his name's Mark Hirsch. He lives up north. He had a wreck that really didn't physically cause damage, but mentally it just messed with him for quite some time, because he really, from the look of the wreck, he should have died that day. So his friends talked him into taking his iPhone out of his pocket and telling him he needed to shoot a picture every day. Well, the closest thing that he could shoot for basically from his house was this tree across the road. And I think his book came out in 2018, 2019, somewhere in there, right after I guess shot this image and a few, this was kind of my tree that I really, really loved. But anyway, look up That Tree by Mark Hirsch. So he did a whole book on the life cycle of this tree. Sadly, it was destroyed in a fire, I mean, a storm. I think it was struck by lightning. Probably 2 years after he finished his book. But anyway, it was just such a neat personal mission to keep going back to the same thing and kind of capture it as many different ways as you could. And so I kind of felt like this was my tree of that tree genre. And it too got destroyed in an ice storm not too long after I shot this. I think it was 2020 when it went down. So that one's no longer there. It was kind of an iconic tree at Fall Creek Falls. So to Emily's point and everybody's, it's we're often attracted to things because we see things differently than a lot of folks. And if something ever attracts your eye, shoot it, because you may not get another opportunity. That may be your one and only opportunity of that particular image. And sometimes I think we edit ourselves too much. It's like, it's not perfect. It's not this, not that, but it may be the last time you see that tree or that building or that whatever. And so anyway, I kind of taught myself to keep shooting, and I probably shoot too much. But and then this one was Radnor Lake, just a very subdued. It was almost a twilight light, kind of in the middle of the day because it was just so heavy, heavy clouded, so heavy clouds. So I accentuated the color a bit with vibrance and saturation, but I didn't want to overdo it and make it look completely fake. So I go back and forth with how much I use the saturation on this one, but I just love the painterly effect in the foreground. And and then the sycamores always are fascinating to me. They just stand out and kind of stand out like they have more to say, I guess, than the gray tree trunks you see all the time in the winter. And then this was just a great blue heron at Radnor Lake, and I'd gone down there to shoot, the fall color reflecting on the hillside that you can kind of see behind this bird. And I'd probably been standing there for 30 minutes waiting for the light to get where I wanted it to be over the water, which is to my right of where this was shot. Who knows how long this bird was sitting up there watching me, but I caught him at the last minute before he flew off. So, and he looks like he has one leg, but his other one was tucked up under there, under his feathers. But I just love the light and just kind of the happenstance. The limbs in the background are a little bit busy for me right behind his head, but it was one of those shots I just had to take it. And, a minute later he was gone. But I just love the color and the light. And then this is another kind of natural watercolor. And the sycamores always play a lot in this. The sycamores and the blue sky, I think, always give you a little bit more sense of kind of place and what it is. And I don't know, this kind of reminds me of the intentional camera movement kind of thing. But this is more, it's a half a second exposure of just water and light playing on the surface of the lake. And that's it.
All right. Thank you.
Let me unshare here.
All
Stop
right.
share. Okay, it's back to you.
All right. Well, that's all we have. Uh, did anyone have any questions or anything, or any other announcements?
I just think all the pictures are amazing. So great job, guys.
Ditto. I always love hearing the story behind it. Wayne, you may want to stop sharing so we can see each other's squares instead of the.
Yeah, I'm sorry I was late and missed probably more than half of them because you know how much I love looking at everybody's work.
Well, I think he's got it recorded.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Yay.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I did have, you said, did people, are you going to stop sharing?
Yeah.
We still see your stick.
I'm still trying to figure out how to stop sharing.
Oh, it's
I don't see a stop share button.
so stay
Let's
moving
see.
around for you. They try to trick you. I was going to ask, I read in the paper that, excuse me, the Donaldson Library has free lab, they call it memory lab, where you can bring in any kind of things, video, negatives, photos, and digitize them. You sign up for a couple hours, and I'm sure they're fully booked. I wondered if anybody had done it and had uh, any anything to say about the equipment they actually have and how that process is going.
I have not, Emily, but I did see that, and I've got like 10 VHS tapes that I would love to transfer. There's some old ones I created for like memory books of family stuff. So I'm going to be going down there within the month and kind of
Oh,
trying it
good,
out. So I will
good.
report back.
Yeah, I was in a class with Lee when they had National State got the digital equipment, but the digital equipment was so beyond my skill level, I will say. Um, I'm anxious to digitize some of my film negatives.
And I've got a stack of old family photos, you know how I have those, that are like
Hmm.
huge, like 16 by 20s and 11 by 14s, and I don't have the ability to scan them, and they're sitting in a pile in a chair behind me right now, trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah, that's another question, how big your original can be. I don't know.
Right. So Emily Naff was saying like just to, put them on, lay them on the ground and just shoot them with with my camera. So I just don't know if that's,
Well, you might try that. Yeah.
I mean, and
You,
we did some of that in class, and like I've heard mixed things. Some people are like, "Oh yeah, you got more pixels in a camera, or the megapixels in a camera than you actually get pixels per inch in a scanner." So I really don't.
Yeah,
If
the
Lee,
time,
unless you want to take those to Chromatics, they've got a huge art scanner for, reproducing giclées of original art, so it's very costly. But the
I was
best
gonna
way to do
say, I know
it, yeah,
chromatics, it's ka-ching.
yeah, the best way to do it is probably just find a very, evenly lit room or shoot on a cloudy day, but just hang them
Uh-huh.
on the wall and get your camera on the tripod, set it as square as possible to it. And then I have found if it's in glass, I either take it apart or hang a black curtain behind me, and the black curtain will help cut down any reflection that you might have on a glossy print or a framed print. But
Okay.
yeah, the shooting it with a digital would probably be your best bet.
All right. We'll see how it goes. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah. I've uh, as far as making copies with a camera, uh, you could try putting it on a tripod, and because the main problem with copying that way is getting it square. Uh, you know,
Right.
so you don't have any uh, perspective problem.
Well, I have that arm that you put on your tripod.
Uh-huh.
Like, I don't know the fancy name
Huh.
for it, but the arm so that you could shoot straight down.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, and Robin, you made me think of, I think at one point we had done something where we had made like a box where we could shoot in that would control all that extra light.
You can
Mhm.
buy
Yeah.
these setups now that'll go on the end of a macro lens that has like little extension tubes and so forth, but that and it has a ground glass light source in the back, and you can like put strips of film five at a time, five
Mhm.
images at a 35 millimeter at a time through them, and it's real convenient and real easy to use. And
Yeah.
some of them are less than $100.
Yeah, I ended up doing a setup for my film. I bought one of those, it was off Amazon. It was like a light tracing board, and I just lay my film on that. And then I took the, the lid off my scanner and I scanned it using the light as a background. Does that make sense? No. I don't know.
Hard to picture, but I bet it works. You're so
I mean,
clever.
it did something. I think it would be better to have the like where you shoot the macro on the attached and everything, but it was pretty it was an easy sheet for me to see what I had anyway, whether it was worth printing.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, I used to make copies of. I used to work at a black and white photo lab here in Nashville, and one of our clients was, well, we had the Country Music Hall of Fame and the Vanderbilt Archives, and we would make 4x5 copy negatives for them of like Country Music Hall of Fame. They had all these old 8x10 um, promotional photos of country music stars, and we had a setup where it was a uh, it was a table with a 4x5 camera pointed straight down at the table on a fixed setup with two lights pointed in from each direction at a 45-degree angle, and that's how we shot those 4x5 copies on film. Yeah.
That's really cool. Like because you're reproducing a one of a kind kind of thing.
Mhm. Right.
Wow,
Yeah.
pretty neat.
Okay. Anything else? Well, thank you all. Thank everybody, and I'll get this. I'll stop recording now, and I'll get this